They don't hate you because you're wrong. They hate you because your truth destroys their fragile reality. Society isn't a meritocracy. It's a ruthless machine engineered to crucify genius. Watch to the end to discover the terrifying reason why your brilliant mind makes you a biological target. OX of genius, the brutal illusion of meritocracy. We are drowning in a beautifully orchestrated lie. From the moment we take our first breath, society feeds us an intoxicating fairy tale that the world is a rational meritocracy, an enlightened arena starving for truth, desperate to elevate the brightest minds and celebrate undeniable genius. I tell you now, this is a cultural narcotic designed to blind us to a brutal, unforgiving reality. Society does not crave absolute truth. It is utterly terrified of it. The inner multiverse warmly welcomes you to a journey beyond the veil of these comforting illusions. Before we tear away the psychological blankets that protect the masses from reality, I ask you to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription is the lifeblood that supports our relentless pursuit of the profound, giving us the absolute drive to continue forging these deep explorations into the darkest corners of human psychology. Now, step back with me into the cold, gaslit corridors of Berlin in 1820. Picture entity, people. Our Arthur Schopenhauer staring, uncompromising brilliance, who made a deliberate career choice that the world deemed sheer madness. Driven by an unrelenting conviction in his own profound insights, he scheduled his university lectures at the exact same hour as anti-people. Gay Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, Zed academic titan of the era. It was not merely an intellectual duel. It was a solitary man declaring war on an entrenched establishment. The result was devastating, absolute career suicide. While Hegel's lecture halls practically burst with sycophants hungry for acceptable dogma, Schopenhauer stood alone, speaking his piercing truths to a sea of empty, silent chairs. He ultimately resigned, suffocating in a profound and crushing alienation. Why does this happen? Why is exceptional intellect met with such deafening silence? Or worse, aggressive hostility? In the merciless mechanics of human interaction, the truly brilliant are not naturally elevated. They are routinely and systematically marginalized. Their razor-sharp insights are discarded into the abyss, willingly traded for safe, digestible mediocrity. This heartbreaking phenomenon is not a temporary malfunction of modern culture. It is a deeply ingrained, inescapable feature of our psychological architecture. Society does not simply ignore high intelligence, it actively hunts it down and punishes it. When you inject raw, unfiltered, uncompromising intellect into the collective herd, you are not offering them a benevolent gift. You are introducing a highly disruptive foreign contaminant. The fierce resistance you face from the crowd is not born of mere ignorance. It is a primal biological defense mechanism, an ancient and insidious flaw in the human herd algorithm. To understand why your competence invokes such visceral hostility, and why the visionary is forever condemned to walk as a pariah, we must brutally dissect the dark engine of human behavior. We must mercilessly strip away the fragile illusion of rationality and stare directly into the abyss of our own collective neuroses. Chapter 2. The Bureaucracy. To gaze into that abyss is to realize that our species did not conquer the earth through the exaltation of brilliance, but through the ruthless enforcement of conformity. For hundreds of thousands of years, the survival of the human tribe did not depend on objective truth, philosophical breakthroughs, or the solitary genius staring at the stars. It depended entirely on absolute, unquestioning cohesion. When our ancestors huddled around the flickering safety of a campfire, a shared delusion was infinitely more valuable than a disruptive reality. The tribe needed every member to move as one, think as one, and believe as one, because a fractured group was a dead group. Consequently, evolution systematically bred out the radical independent thinker and rewarded the compliant follower. We are the descendants of those who learned to keep their heads down and nod in unison. When you present an earth-shattering idea to the modern public, you are not engaging their logic. You are triggering their ancient biological alarm systems. The herd perceives your advanced intellect exactly as a biological organism perceives a virus, as a fatal threat to its internal equilibrium. They do not hate you because they misunderstand your logic. They hate you because they understand subconsciously that your truth will dismantle the comforting lies holding their fragile world together. To the crowd, consensus is oxygen, and your uncompromising intellect is a suffocating vacuum. We watch this play out in every boardroom, every academic institution, and every social circle where the lowest common denominator is violently protected. The masses will gleefully rally behind a charismatic fool because the fool speaks the safe, predictable language of the tribe. The fool demands nothing, challenges nothing, and threatens nothing. Your brilliance, on the other hand, demands the painful destruction of their cherished illusions. Thus, the collective acts with swift, brutal precision to neutralize you, employing the weapons of mockery, ostracization, and character assassination. They are not acting out of malice, but out of a desperate, panicked instinct for psychological self-preservation. You are asking them to step out of the warm cave of ignorance into the freezing, blinding light of reality. And for that transgression, the human herd algorithm demands that you be punished. Chapter 3. The Curse of Hyperperception. Yet, the true tragedy does not lie in the physical exile imposed by the frightened herd, but in the suffocating internal isolation experienced by the one who sees entirely too clearly. To possess a hyperperceptive mind is not the glamorous superpower that romantic literature makes it out to be. It is a chronic, often agonizing neurological condition. Imagine walking through life with eyes that cannot be closed, forced to perpetually witness the invisible strings controlling the puppet show of human interaction. While the average person floats comfortably on the surface of polite conversations, cultural rituals, and trivial pursuits, you are condemned to see the terrifying depths beneath. You instantly recognize the petty insecurities, the hollow ego-driven motives, and the sheer absurdity of the societal games everyone else plays with absolute, deadly seriousness. This is the crushing burden of high intelligence, the inability to unsee. You cannot simply lobotomize your own awareness to fit in at a dinner party. The mundane small talk that binds normal people together feels to you like chewing glass, a meaningless, exhausting performance that drains your life force. Over time, a profound internal chasm opens between you and the rest of humanity. You realize with a chilling finality that you are speaking an entirely different language, transmitting on a frequency that no one around you has the hardware to receive. You stand in crowded rooms surrounded by hundreds of breathing bodies, yet you are consumed by a planetary loneliness. You begin to question your own sanity, gaslit by a world that insists the sky is green when you can plainly see it is blue. The temptation to numb yourself, to dumb yourself down just to feel the warm, validating embrace of human connection becomes a daily psychological battle. It is a unique kind of grief, mourning the loss of a simple, blissful ignorance you were never granted. You are trapped behind the glass of your own intellect, watching humanity dance to a chaotic rhythm you refuse to follow, fully aware that your profound understanding of the world is the exact mechanism that bars you from ever truly being a part of it. Texture of modern crucifixion. Because the visionary refuses to participate in this collective hallucination, the establishment must construct elaborate machineries to systematically neutralize their disruptive potential. We no longer burn our heretics at the stake or force them to drink hemlock. We have evolved far more insidious, sanitized methods of crucifixion. Today, the persecution of the exceptional is outsourced to the sterile, pop-ray corridors of bureaucracy and the tyranny of peer consensus. The system is masterfully engineered to elevate the aggressively average, those who are competent enough to keep the machine running, but lack the imagination to ever question its direction. When a truly revolutionary mind enters this space, the institutional immune system immediately attacks. Your ideas are not debated on their merits. They are buried under endless committees, suffocated by standard operating procedures, and diluted by the mandatory input of mediocre minds. The system weaponizes your lack of conformity against you. You are labeled difficult, abrasive, or not a team player, simply because you refuse to compromise a brilliant vision for the sake of group comfort. They will strip you of resources, bypass you for promotions in favor of compliant sycophants, and gradually push you to the outermost margins of the professional or academic ecosystem. It is a slow, agonizing death by 1,000 paper cuts, designed to exhaust your spirit until you either surrender your genius or walk away in disgusted defeat. The ultimate cruelty of this architecture is that it makes your failure look entirely like your own fault. The crowd stands by, pointing to your professional isolation as proof that your ideas were never valid in the first place, completely ignoring the coordinated sabotage that put you there. They steal the oxygen from your fire and then mock you for failing to burn. This is the quiet, daily massacre of human potential, where the brightest lights are extinguished not by superior arguments, but by the relentless, grinding friction of institutional mediocrity. Chapter 5. Embracing N of Exile. However, once you deeply internalize that this system is meticulously engineered for your destruction rather than your elevation, a profound and terrifying liberation finally becomes possible. The moment you stop begging for a seat at the table of mediocrity is the exact moment you reclaim your sovereign power. The historical tragedy of entity people. Arthur Schopenhauer fact that he temporarily expected a room full of sheep to appreciate the roar of a lion. You must radically sever your psychological dependence on external validation. The herd will never grant you the applause you deserve, and seeking it is a degrading betrayal of your own intellect. Instead of perceiving your alienation as a curse, you must learn to wear your exile as an iron crown. It is the definitive proof that you have not been compromised. When you step out of the desperate rat race for societal approval, the silence of your isolation transforms from a punishment into a sanctuary. In this cold, empty space, free from the static of lesser minds, your true work begins. You no longer create, think, or speak to appease the fragile egos of the masses. You do it to satisfy the uncompromising demands of your own soul. You speak your truth into the void, knowing that while the current generation may stop their ears, the timeless echoes of sheer brilliance cannot be suppressed forever. This is the ultimate transcendence, to look directly into the hostile, uncomprehending eyes of the world and smile, utterly untouched by their rejection. We at the Inner Multiverse walk this desolate, magnificent path with you. We do not offer you false hope or a map back to the herd. We offer you the absolute courage to stand alone in the dark, blazing with your own terrifying light. Accept your role as the pariah, the anomaly, the beautiful terror that the world cannot digest, for it is only in the absolute wilderness of exile that true genius is forged. Finally, conclusion. The journey of the Bly, one of profound isolation, dictated not by a flaw in their character, but by the deeply ingrained biological and structural mandates of human society. For millennia, humanity has prioritized cohesive delusion over disruptive truth, embedding a subconscious fear of the exceptional into our evolutionary blueprint. To possess a hyperperceptive mind is to be condemned to see the invisible, often absurd machinery of societal charades. This hyper-awareness results in a crushing, chronic loneliness that no amount of forced conformity or trivial small talk can cure. Furthermore, when such brilliant minds attempt to navigate modern institutions, they are met with a sophisticated architecture of crucifixion. Relentless bureaucratic suppression, peer sabotage, and ostracization explicitly designed to extinguish the extraordinary in favor of the comfortably average. Yet, the ultimate resolution lies in recognizing that this pervasive alienation is not a punishment to be mourned, but a profound liberation to be embraced. By radically severing the deeply conditioned need for the herd's validation, the visionary transforms social exile from a source of agonizing grief into an iron fortress of sovereign power. Embracing this cold emancipation allows you to stop compromising your intellect for those inherently incapable of understanding it. Instead, you can channel your energy into work that satisfies the uncompromising demands of your own soul. True genius and authentic creation are not forged in the warm, suffocating embrace of consensus, but in the desolate, magnificent wilderness of standing completely alone, radiating your own unapologetic light. The profound lesson. The pursuit of external validation is an architect of mediocrity. Society's rejection of your brilliance is not a measure of your inadequacy, but a biological and institutional defense mechanism meant to protect the fragile status quo. True intellectual and spiritual freedom is achieved only when you stop expecting the extraordinary to be understood or applauded by the ordinary. Application in modern life. Stop diluting your intellect and watering down your idea around you. Feel comfortable. Whether in your career, academia, or personal relationships, you must recognize institutional or social pushback for what it truly is, an allergic reaction to your potential, not a valid critique of your worth. Cease the exhausting, daily performance of shrinking yourself to fit into rooms you have outgrown. Instead, redirect that wasted energy into building your own sanctuary, intellectual, creative, or professional, where your work is driven purely by your own standards. Accept social friction as the natural tax on authenticity. Stop participating in the race for collective approval and focus entirely on creating profound work that satisfies your inner truth. Question for you: have you ever felt the pressure to hide your true thoughts, insights, or intelligence, a group, or survive in a workplace? Please share your experiences and perspectives in the comments below so we can all read, reflect, and learn from one another's journeys. If this video resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel to support us. Your subscription gives us the motivation to keep exploring the inner multiverse and bringing you more thought-provoking content.